Hi, I'm Tom from Indergaard Physiotherapy. Had a few questions about credentials and kind of my background. So I'm obviously a qualified physiotherapist with an additional degree in exercise physiology and also done some sports massage work as well. So I've got a level 5 diploma in sports massage and remedial therapy, and also further qualifications in shockwave and other additional treatments. Over the last few years, I've done some consulting work for some of the Olympic triathletes, as well as working with a wide variety of people in my clinic, from British judo champions to grapplers to runners. So I've been quite busy trying to pick up different aspects of sport and how it interacts with the athlete. I've been involved with jiu-jitsu for about 4 years. I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and what I wanted to talk to you today is a little bit about knees and a bit of mobility in the knees. So we've had a few questions about knees and how we can kind of prepare our knees for jiu-jitsu. So let's talk a little bit about the anatomy of the knee. Most people think that the knee just comes forward and back into flexion and extension, but one key movement that's important to consider at the knee is internal and external rotation. So that is this and this. As we stand up, or if you look at horses when they stand up, they have their legs fully extended, and they've got something like we do called the screw home mechanism. So the screw home mechanism is in the last 30 degrees. As your knee starts to extend, your tibia externally rotates and your femur, your thigh bone, internally rotates. And that movement allows you to get a full extension of the knee and to lock out your knee. What we find is a lot of people will lack that internal and external rotation. So as my first movement drill, I'd considered trying to develop some internal and external rotation at your knee. So what you do with your leg is just get your knee to about 45 degrees bent, place one arm under your leg and grab your own wrist and place it on your shin. And all you're going to do is use this hand initially to help you come into external and to internal rotation. Once you become more familiar with that movement, then try and cue that movement by yourself and get that external and internal rotation at the knee. That's your first movement drill, and then I'll give you some exercises to progress your knee strength. What we see a lot of in clinic is people with knee tendon problems, and sometimes everyone goes quite hard on the high intensity workouts, but there's some key details that we can add that'll get those tendons nice and strong. Tendons respond to load, and the best way to start loading your tendons is to give them load without taking them through full range. So the first exercise I'm going to show you is a wall sit. So find a wall or a space, sit your back flat against the wall and come down to about 90 degrees. If you're a beginner at this, what I'd be aiming for is to do 3 sets of 30-second holds, keeping that nice and tight and the quads both engaged. Hands off your legs, hands off your head, just cross them over. If you're comfortable with doing three lots of 30 seconds, then try and do 3 lots of 30 seconds with your toes up and get those quads engaged. And then if you're feeling comfortable, 3 lots of 30 seconds of that, you can be a bit of a rock star and try and do it with a straight leg and just hold it on one leg. These exercises will just prepare your knees to be used to a little bit more load and to build up some quad strength through those knees. So the second progression I'm going to show for your knees are some isometric lunge holds. Simply put, once you're used to that position on the wall, you can start exposing your knee and quads to further ranges and start getting other muscle groups involved. We know that the quadriceps are not the only thing that support the knee. We can look at hamstrings, we can look at calves. But initially, what I want you to progress next to is a split stance lunge. So in this position, you're going to come down 90 degrees at your hips and knees and try to squeeze your bum on that back leg. Once you're going to do that, just hold it for about 30 seconds. This will be harder than it seems. If you can sustain that movement for sort of more than 30 seconds, I want you to try and add a bit of a heel raise. So you drop deeper into that lunge and hold that for about 30 seconds. Once you've done that, we can start looking at adding different progressions or regressions. So if you find them quite hard or you're getting pain in your knee, just change the angle slightly so you're not going as far into that knee bend. Give these a go. Like before, I'd aim for 3 lots of 30 seconds just to get you used to that loading. What I'm going to show you is the next step really in progressing your knee strength. So now you've got used to some lunging, I'd start introducing some forward and reverse lunges. The reason these are important is they'll build that stability in the supporting leg. through a wider range. So what we want you to do for this exercise is stand on one leg and plant on that one leg at 90 degrees. Then from this position, what you're going to do is step forwards into that 90 degrees position and backwards. What you want to avoid is planting your foot in between. Make it a consistent movement through the range. I would say aim for about 6 to 10 repetitions of that. 6 to 10 with 1 repetition being a forward and back movement. They're quite challenging, and when you get to this point without pain, what I'd expect you to do is about 3 sets with about 60-second rest in between. Give them a go. They're quite challenging and you'll definitely feel a bit of a burn from them. The next phase in supporting your knee is utilizing something what we call co-contraction. A co-contraction means muscles that are really supporting the joint through movements. So the next phase of this is getting the hamstring and calf to support your knee. So your hamstring inserts to the bottom of your knee joint and your calf inserts to the bottom part of your thigh bone. This in turn enables you to stabilize your knee. So we're going to try and get both of those muscles activated. So for this exercise, you can use a foam roller if you have one, or if you don't have one, I could just stack up some blocks. So what you're going to do is lay on your back and have your knees not quite fully straight and not quite fully bent. The next step is to try and tuck your pelvis under, so your back is flat on the mat or on the floor, and then you're going to bridge through your hamstrings. The key detail here as well is my heels are not in contact, but the balls of my feet are in contact with the foam roller. From this position, you're going to lift and hold that. I would aim for being able to do 3 lots of 45-second holds, and you should really feel this in your hamstring and the calf. As you're starting to get more tired, try and avoid arching your back. Keep your pelvis tucked into, and you'll be able to get those hamstrings involved. Once you feel comfortable with that, and if you feel you can handle it quite well, there is a progression to try. And if you can hit 3 lots of 45 seconds for this, you're well on your way to having your knee fully supported. Same sort of position. Knee not quite fully bent or not quite fully straight. You're going to bring your hip to 90 degrees, tuck your pelvis, and then lift your bottom there. And to try and get that hamstring working in isolation. So you can see my legs probably shaking. So it's not particularly an easy move, but if you can do 3 lots of 45 seconds of that, you can come do my job for me. So if you found those knee exercises helpful, that's brilliant, and you're well on your way to supporting your knee, particularly in preparation for jiu-jitsu movements. As you feel more and more confident, there are definite progressions we can add or take away, and that's definitely a conversation I'll be happy having with you at some point. Thanks for watching.